Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another of these brand new Mattel Jurassic World Legacy Collection Reimagined sets. This is the second one in the line to release, with the first being up on the channel yesterday, which was the Demon Carnotaurs. This time, we've got the Chopper Chase Pack with a very interesting Atrociraptor repaint. Now, this one's kind of a mixed bag for me. First of all, the set's not really that exciting, and for them to kind of give us a little bit of a lackluster set so early into this line was slightly disappointing, but at the same time, it does look kind of fun, and I will say through the window area that we can see the packaging and everything and the figures inside, the Atrociraptor looks a little bit better than I was expecting it to. Not great by any means, but definitely a little bit better. However, again, it's kind of weird to have an Atrociraptor in like a Reimagined or Legacy Collection set because, again, it's not something that we had seen in older Jurassic media or any toy lines or anything like that. So, you know, it's kind of weird, but kind of fun at the same time. The packaging looks decent for what it is. You can see it looks okay. Just lots and lots of glares going on as far as what we can see there. And then when you turn it around, basically you can see everything that is contained within the set, which is an ACU Pilot and a Atrociraptor, and then, of course, our very cool looking helicopter. And then you also have a little advertisement down here for the Demon Carnotaurus we reviewed yesterday. So let's pop this set open and check it out. So first of all, once you actually open the set, there is a pretty fun backdrop that they include, which you can see definitely has a really nice kind of forested setting, pretty much where I would expect to find an Atrociraptor, so that's pretty neat. Of course, you could maybe find enough room in there to display the set, or at the very least, maybe use it for some dino toy photography. But then we, of course, also have the helicopter itself, which looks really quite fun. And maybe we should readjust the camera a little bit. And then we've got the ACU Pilot right here, which also looks pretty decent. Definitely is a nice looking figure. His little weapon that he's got going on here, which is like a really strange, almost like a spear. And then you've got the Atrociraptor as well. Again, our new reddish version of the Atrociraptor. I probably should have stood him up so he's not just laying down. Oh, there we go. He actually stood pretty easily. But again, it's a fun set overall. It's not something that I think people are going to go crazy for by any means, but it is still pretty fun in the grand scheme of things, at least as far as like playability goes. You know, kids will absolutely enjoy this set. So without further ado, let's jump to a closer look and we'll check it out from there. So we'll actually begin with the helicopter itself. Now, one thing to note about this is the helicopter actually comes disassembled. So you do have to put basically some parts of it together, and it goes together very easily. There's not much effort that has to go into it. In fact, you know, as long as you look at the image on the back of the box, you should be able to very easily assemble this without even looking at the instructions. Don't necessarily take my word for it. I don't want to be responsible for people putting the pieces on wrong, but it should be fairly easy. I didn't use the instructions. But as you can see, when you get nice and close, the actual detailing and everything of the helicopter looks pretty good. You've got the teeth basically up here, which does definitely help to add to the appeal factor of the set. You can see the inside looks pretty darn highly detailed overall, which I actually really quite like. Definitely impressed with the amount of detail that they've included in the cockpit. As you move along, you again have some more really nice areas. Quite a bit of color on this as well, as you can see again, like tans and red oranges and grays. There's a good bit of color added to it. You've got a nice Jurassic logo as you move back here, and then as you move down, you've also got some patterning moving along the side of the helicopter. Everything seems to be very highly detailed. No matter what angle you take a look at it from, it does look really quite nice. We don't have the Jurassic logo on this side, sadly, but it does look really quite nice as a whole. Obviously, you can articulate the blades of the helicopter up here, which you can see they move very, very smoothly, very nicely. Again, something that's fun as far as playability goes. And then you do also have the ability to launch a missile here that you have right in the front. You can obviously see a button right there to launch the missile. The missile is pretty much that same kind of red-orange color that we have elsewhere for the helicopter, but it definitely is really quite fun. And then our ACU Pilot, which you can see looks pretty decent. He does come with a removable helmet, which is pretty fun. Again, also almost the same color actually as the Atrociraptor as far as the red goes, but you can see again, we've got a little bit of like a see-through visual right there. There you go. You can kind of see how you can see through the front, how it's translucent right there. Again, where we would be covering his eyes, he is going to need to see through that goggle type area of his helmet, so that's definitely a plus. But once you remove that, you can see the head sculpt is quite nicely done, nicely detailed. There's some fairly decent, fairly precise paintwork with his eyes, his eyebrows, and everything in the face. You also have the hair sculpted really nicely, and again painted nicely with a variation of a brown. As you move down into his outfit, it does state ACU, and you can also see again it is painted with a grayish tone, and is also very nicely detailed. There's all sorts of creases and everything through the course of his outfit. Moving down, he is also wearing black gloves. As you lead down, he does have a red belt on. Again, it's pretty much the same color as his helmet, so he does have a pretty nice matching outfit as a whole, which is a plus. And then as you move down into the pants, you can see he's got like some pockets on the side, some more creasing and everything as you lead down again into his boots, which the boots again are really impressive. They actually might be some of the nicest I think I've seen when it comes to the detailing of like shoes or boots or anything on any of the Mattel humans so far. Those are actually pretty darn nicely sculpted. And then of course, as far as articulation goes, you do have the ability to move the head, and it would swivel completely around if you want to snap his neck. Can go kind of, you know, up and down just a little bit. You do have arm articulation forward and back, and also out away from the body. You can completely swivel it if you choose to. You have elbow articulation, but it is super stiff right now. It's not really moving too well. It can swivel, and obviously, just like a typical Mattel human, it should be able to go forward and back, but I don't want to snap it or anything right now because it's definitely a little bit tight. But as you move down, you also, of course, have that swivel in the midsection, and then you can put the legs forward, back, kind of. That's about as far back as it goes because of his butt right there. But you can also, again, go out from the side here, basically do some splits, and then you have knee articulation forward and back, and can also swivel. So pretty much your standard when it comes to a Mattel human's articulation. And then his weapon as well is pretty decent, but there's not a whole lot to it. Like, there's not much in the way of fine detail or anything. A little bit, but not anything that's overly impressive. Just a fun little accessory. And then we've got the Atrociraptor itself, and I will say, at first, when I was looking at the Atrociraptor, I thought it wasn't all that great, and I will still stick by that. It's not that great, but it's a little bit more fun in person than I was expecting. You basically have the same sculpted Atrociraptor that we've had quite a few times from Mattel. I don't notice any upgrades or any differences as far as this one goes compared to previously released Atrociraptors, but you can see color-wise, we have a black that runs up into the face. You've got some red that kind of stripes up from the lower jaw into the palate, and then you've got the lower jaw that is an entirely red tone. Of course, we can articulate the jaw. The teeth don't really look very good on the inside of the mouth, honestly. I don't remember the teeth looking that lackluster on the previous Atrociraptors, but maybe they did. But you can see we do have a pinkish tone there for the tongue and the skin stretching on the inside of the mouth, but no real coloration on the inside elsewhere. You do have a nicely painted eye with a black pupil, which is a plus. So again, it's nice to continue to see that Mattel's quality control is definitely under control when it comes to the placement of the eyes. But as you move back, you've got another little spot of red showing up right there. Same deal over here. You continue to have the black kind of patterning down, the red for the underside of the Raptor, a little bit more of the red showing up here on the back of the neck, and then as you lead down, you start to see that black kind of break up and turn into more of like a sporadic patterning, basically overtaking the hip region almost entirely right there, but then it's gone once you lead past that hip and you lead out into the tail. You don't have any other coloration out there outside of a speckling, which you can see is pretty abundant through the course of the figure. You can see that that black leads down into the thigh a little bit and also leads down into the side of the stomach a little bit, which is nice, but unfortunately no painted nails on the hands, no painted nails for the feet. They do have a gloss coat, and you can see the speckling shows up in the nails as well. I would have much more preferred just having actual nail paint. But outside of that, of course, sculpt-wise, articulation-wise, everything on this is going to be the same as the previously released Atrociraptors. So I did put the human figure in here just for a second to kind of get a feel for the way he looks once he's in the aircraft. And it does look really neat. He definitely sits in there very nicely. But something I, figured out as I was doing that is the fact that you can actually open that area so that it makes it easier to put him in there. So just something that I missed when we were taking that closer look that I, of course, did want to point out to you guys. So honestly, I feel like that's really about all we need to go over with this set. I don't think we really need size comparisons, measurements, anything like that, because for the most part, it's all stuff we've had before. Like, we've had human figures already many times. This guy fits right there in the same size range as all of the other humans. The Atrociraptor is the same sculpt, so we've reviewed many Atrociraptors so far from Mattel. So, outside of that, the only real thing that we maybe need to measure would be the helicopter, which I guess we could do. So we'll just move this stuff out of the way for just a second and then get a length on the helicopter from the back right here to that missile, just a hair over 7.5 inches, or just a little bit over 19 centimeters. And then for a height, again, a hair over 4.25 inches, or around 11 centimeters. And just in case we wanted to see the missile actually shoot, we'll go ahead and shoot the wall back there. And as you can see, it works pretty nicely. Nothing too overly amazing that we haven't seen millions of times before. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Legacy Collection Reimagined Chopper Chase Pack is fun. It's not amazing. It's not something that everyone's going to go for, everyone's going to love, but it's just a fun little set. Again, it's the second in this line that they have just begun releasing, and I can say this line as a whole shows a whole lot of promise. That Carnotaurus that I reviewed was absolutely incredible, and then you've got this set, which isn't incredible, but it's fun for what it is. I feel like the Atrociraptor could have definitely used a little more paint, like painted nails at the very least could have been nice for this one, because we don't have paint running out onto the tail, and there just generally isn't much in the way of color on the figure, but it still kind of looks fun for what it is, kind of looks enjoyable as far as the tones of color, and is very different from previously released Atrociraptors as far as the color goes. Our ACU Pilot as well is a pretty neat figure, and it's always welcome, in my opinion, to have more human figures in the Mattel line. I feel like we could always use more, especially when it comes to like different park workers and stuff. And of course now an ACU Pilot, and he's nicely sculpted, nicely articulated, nicely painted, all of that fun stuff. He's got a pretty fun weapon and a very cool helmet as well. And then you've got his aircraft here, which is pretty neat for what it is. Definitely has that kind of throwback feel, in my opinion. Absolutely feels like the type of thing you would have acquired in a Jurassic Park set, no doubt about that. So again, it does have that going for it. Is it incredible? Not really, but does it have some fun playability and a pretty cool look to it? Absolutely. So if you are interested in picking this set up, it actually officially releases today, so you can, of course, purchase this on Target or run to Target itself and see if maybe you can find it in store. But one way or another, it's a pretty decent set. Again, even though it's not incredible, it's still worth picking up in my opinion. So make sure you do that, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.